Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome back to the VSO Gun Channel. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Kurt Hallstrom. I'm your host as always, and I've got a little bit of a strange story for you here today. And I find these instances fascinating because while we know very little about the man that we're going to talk about here today, the only explanation that I can give for this person's behavior is that he literally just did not give a crap about what the government thinks. And I think that's fantastic. Absolutely hat off, sir. This dude trafficked thousands of machine guns to United States citizens. If you believe the Second Amendment covers everything, especially anything man-portable and in many instances, things that just go on vehicles, then sound off in the comment section down below. Let your voice be heard. And we're going to get into the details of this after we hear a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by 1st Phorm. 1st Phorm is a pro-American, pro-freedom supplement company. You probably eat way too much crap and not enough protein. So 1st Phorm's mission is to put more protein in your face hole. Now, the thing that I've been using a whole lot lately are their meat sticks. Now, these things are a 20 gram of protein stick. It doesn't need to be refrigerated. It doesn't have any like weird whey or any stuff like that. It is made out of meat. If you check them out using my link in the link tree or on the affiliates page, and that tells them that I sent you and that helps out the channel. So special thanks to 1st Phorm for making today's video possible. A man known by the alias the AK Guru, aka Earl Carter Jr., 72 of Raleigh, North Carolina, was recently arrested with no contest. He basically was compliant when they came to arrest him, which means something to me that I'll get back to here in a second. He has been arrested and charged with the illegal, quote unquote, illegal manufacture of machine guns and suppressors and the selling of those devices to people in the Appalachia region around that area. And if you've ever been to like Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, West Virginia, the state, the western portion of Virginia, sorry, there's a region there where you don't mess with those people. And there's a reason that you don't mess with those people. And it sounds like Earl Carter Jr. might be part of the reason that you don't mess with those people. Basically, it sounds to me like he's been doing this for a while, but he had developed connections in Europe to smuggle machine guns into the United States and then also convert weapons here in the United States into functioning machine guns. And then he would sell those to the people of Appalachia. And I want to make sure that I get this right, because I think the FBI's words in their affidavit are fantastic. It says that he brings an astronomical number of machine guns through his workshop. Okay, Kurt, well, what does astronomical mean? Because we all know that these weenies that write this sort of stuff think that an arsenal is like 3 guns and like 150 rounds of ammunition. So what is an astronomical number of machine guns? Carter has sold over 1,000 fully automatic AK-47s to different groups in the area. On top of that, he also had a Browning M2. Love me a Browning M2. I want me one of them. Thank you very much. Can't afford to feed it, but you know, whatever. And a PPSH-43. When they raided his place, they found this stuff as well as some homemade silencers. And then they also found rifles in various states of undress, we'll say, that were in the process of being unbroken by the ATF. For those of you who don't get that joke, the AK-47 or the AKM rifle, as we use it here in the United States in its semi-automatic configuration, because of the way the regulations are written by a bonehead and implemented by people who are worse, it eliminates the safety mechanism that keeps the AK from just firing on its own. So literally the government made the rifle more dangerous by regulating it. Basically what happens is if you throw the the safety mechanism too far up and it passes the dust cover, it can bump the sear and literally release the hammer and discharge the rifle. So you're trying to, throw the rifle on safe real quick and you sweep it. You hit it too hard, it goes past it, and you cook the rifle off, right like that. And that is because the safety mechanism that keeps that from happening is actually tied to the third hole. So because of government regulation, the AK-47 is far more dangerous in the United States than anywhere else in the world. So congratulations, United States government, for absolutely fucking that up. And we're not done, because it turns out that Mr. Carter is actually a felon from 1994. Something about him discharging a weapon into an occupied building or something like that, whatever. So on top of that, he has been acquiring these guns as a felon, which in by itself is a crime. So that's what I have to say is it sounds to me like this dude literally did not give a shit. And what's interesting about that is that I don't know if this is actually what happened, but I see this in my mind's eye, this 72-year-old dude who's like, you know what? I've had a pretty good run. We're just going to spend the last couple years that I got just fighting the government. Basically, I'm going to do a bunch of really crazy illegal stuff, and then I'm going to let them arrest me, and then I'm going to take them to federal court so that I have an opportunity to do some good, where I'm going to challenge the constitutionality of whether machine guns can be regulated under the Second Amendment. That's what the storybook in my brain says, but I want to know what you guys think about this. And we can use this comment section as a referendum on the National Firearms Act and the Gun Control Act. Sound off in the comment section down below if you believe that you have a fundamental, constitutionally enshrined, God-given, inalienable right to own a machine gun. Personally and professionally speaking, I think that you do. And I have a couple different bases that I base that off of. First, let's go with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has said really a whole lot of things, but two things I want to focus on. Text, history, and tradition in the United States. Whenever Second Amendment conduct is implicated, there has to be a historical tradition of firearms regulation for that thing in the text, history, and tradition of the United States. And as far as I'm concerned, repeating weapons technology existed at the time of the founding of this nation. Now, it wasn't nearly as common as it is today, obviously. Warfare was fought predominantly with muskets and things like that at the time, but those weapons did exist, and the founders of this nation were absolutely in the know about that technology. The first machine gun, as far as I know, was the Maxim gun, and I believe the Maxim gun existed, I think it was 1884 when it was, so that's 50 years before the first machine gun regulations were ever even considered. So as far as, the time frame of text, history, and tradition in the United States, where do we slice that pie? And then the other thing the Supreme Court has said is dangerous and unusual. It must be both of those things simultaneously. Well, when you look back into the era of the founding, how did, for instance, the Continental Army, Washington's army, acquire its cannon, for instance? Well, yeah, those were all privately owned weapons. British subjects could own cannon. So predating the formation of the United States, it was a thing that you could own literally an artillery piece. And then the other side of it, I would say, is what would the founders have said if you walked up to George Washington in the midst of just defeating the British Army and said, "Hey, sir, check out this thing," and you handed him a fully automatic AK-47, in my opinion, after test firing the thing, George Washington would have been like, "Holy shit, we got to get one of these for everyone." I personally believe and professionally believe that we have had a usurpation of power by the government to do something that it was never supposed to do when it came to firearms regulation of the citizens and what they could and could not own. Happy Saturday, everybody, and hopefully we'll see you in another video here at the VSO Gun Channel.